Once again, Dartmouth sports fans, welcome to another edition of Big Green Classic. I am your host, Brett Franklin, as today we are going to preview the 2017 Ivy League Rugby Championship as your Dartmouth Big Green taking on the Harvard Crimson from October 28th, 2017. And we're happy to have you along here for what should be a fun broadcast. And let's first introduce my panel of guests here, and we will start with the head coach of Dartmouth Women's Rugby, Katie Dowdy. Glad to have you on, Coach. How are you?
Hi, all. Thanks, Brett. Yeah, I'm doing well as can be.
And also joining us, class of 2019, Mia Anderson. How are you, Mia?
Doing good. It's good to be back and looking at rugby again.
Also joining us from the class of 2018, Frankie Sands. Hi, Frankie.
Hi, happy to be here.
And rounding out our panel from the class of 2019, Camille Johnson. How are you, Camille?
Hey, doing good. Excited to watch the film.
Thank you, one and all, for taking some time to join us and go down memory lane here. What should be a fun one in a matchup that was quite frequent in 2017 between the Harvard Crimson and the Dartmouth Big Green. This contest we're looking at is the 2017 Rugby Championship, again on October 28th, 2017. The Big Green coming in at number 2, the Crimson number 4. The Big Green trying to make it 3 straight league championships in this contest and trying to knock off the Crimson for the 3rd straight year for that Ivy League championship. And as we get things started, we again welcome you in joining us. And Coach, I will start with you. We'll put you on the spotlight here first. Looking at this 2017 season, talk to us the expectations, the feelings of preseason going into this year. You had a tough schedule to begin the year, opening up with number 1 Quinnipiac, which you guys came away with the victory. But the overall feeling going into preseason and just what the expectations were from your staff and yourself for 2017.
If memory serves, I think this was our 3rd year as a varsity program, and I think we really expected the program to still be in building stages, and then we're quite happy when things really started to gel. Like, I think this year was the year that the team really started to hit its stride. So, yeah, we knocked off Quinnipiac, who were the number 1 seed early. And then, per usual, we usually have the pleasure of playing Harvard 3 times per season, once in league play, once in the Ivy Championship, and then, if the luck of the draw so happens, then we play them again in the postseason. So this was number 2 against Harvard that season, and, we had beat them. It's hard to beat a team again and again, right? It's to stay ahead. So I think that's where our minds were probably at.
Camille, going into 2017 from the players' perspective, and then me and Frankie, you can jump in afterwards, the expectations of 2017 from the players' perspective.
Yeah, so I can speak specifically from a 19's perspective, where me and Mia, we came in, both walked onto the team our freshman year, won the Ivy Championship, next year won the Ivy Championship, made it further into the national tournament. And so this year we were really just fully expecting to win the Ivy League Championship, get to the national championship game, and hopefully win it there. So yeah, our expectations going into this were just super high. We knew that we had the team and the talent to go far, and we were just ready to hit it.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree with Camille. I think coming in, knowing we had won the Ivy Championship 2 years in a row, it was part of our mindset was making sure we didn't get complacent or get too comfortable in that, because we had a lot of success that season. But I think we were all as a team reminding ourselves that each game's a new challenge, and each time we play Harvard, something new happens, and they're a really good competitive team. And, each time we play them, I think it's always a good game.
Rooch and Morgie have already put in 2 massive hits, by the way. It's really hard.
Frankie, your
defense there.
Frankie, what were you thinking going into that 2017 season from your perspective?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, the year before that season, we hadn't lost any seniors from the year before. So it was a team that had kind of carried over from the 2016 year. So we were able to just continue building, and we didn't have to try and make up any loss that we had felt throughout the team. So that, I think, was definitely a huge advantage for us as well.
Coach, you mentioned the beginning of the season, big win over number 1 seed Quinnipiac. That kind of set the tone right from the beginning. I mean, not only first game of the year, but, you're going up against a good squad and you come away with a big win. I mean, that had to set the tone for that season.
Yeah, they hadn't been beaten in quite some time, years. So that was a really big deal and kind of showed us what we had that year. One of the the thing with Harvard is that in the pack for those years, this year included, they had us size-wise big time, right? And so we always had to play, try to be the team that could move the ball, be the quicker team, move the ball to space better. And I just can't take my eyes off this because I know that that was what was going on all the time with us. And this team is really great at moving the ball. So right now they're absorbed. Harvard just keeps hitting up with their big forwards, but we're absorbing it so well. Good hit from Camille. Double tackle Camille and Andy. Here we go.
Yeah, and early on in this game, Harvard really was really playing some of their best rugby when you look back on, especially in that first 20 minutes of this contest. But Frankie, you look back to that big win over Quinnipiac, and what was that feeling like for the team? Again, first game out, and you come out and you have a big statement win like that.
Oh my God, that was huge. Like you said, that really set the bar for us for the rest of the season. I think just to be able to have that confidence going into the rest of the season, just to know that that team is not untouchable, that we can beat them, that was huge for us. And so it was something that we were able to just continue striving for and working towards throughout the rest of the season, knowing that that was going to be the team that we'd be going up against in a national championship, and that they would want to beat us just as badly as we wanted to beat them, and that they had something to prove at that point. So that was huge for us.
I remember that first game in particular against Quinnipiac was not our cleanest game. We had, I think, 3 tries where we were on the try line and just camped out there for about 20 minutes and eventually scored, but it was we were knocking on the door for minutes on end. And so I remember coming out with a win and just the amount of energy we had in that game, knowing that if we just fixed a few small things, we were going to run over our competition, and just really getting excited for where we'd be at the end of the season.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, we had finished the season before in 3rd place, 4th place. We lost in the semifinals, I believe. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Against AIC.
Yeah, to AIC. And so again, to be able to come out and beat that team that had won the national championship, it just was huge for us.
Mia, you mentioned it earlier, the fact that you had everybody back.
Watch this right now.
Wow,
Frankie!
Number 11, and it is Francesca
Break the
Sands,
tag!
co-captain.
Look at her go.
All right, talk us through this. Yeah.
Peak rugby right there.
She read it beautifully, Matt.
What a turnover
Buzz.
there. And
That was awesome.
What a Scully. Buzz always loved a Scully.
Buzz loved a big bear.
That's a long run out of a lot of minutes of defense. That's exhausting right there.
Pretty sure I told Kat, take your time, please. Take your time.
Yeah, that was really against the run of play. So Harvard had all the possession, and we, like Camille said, that was a lot of defense. So that had to be pretty deflating for them. So a dagger there, Frankie.
I could hear Dowdy. I literally remember Dowdy screaming on the sidelines, just yes, go. That was awesome.
Frankie, for fans who might not know, you are a Vermont native from Essex, Vermont. So to play sort of in your backyard, that had to be pretty fun.
Oh, it was so good. My parents loved it. They came to every game. I had, multiple family members. It was so nice. Well, yeah. It just felt like I was at camp because I'd go do school, whatever activities during the week, and then see my family on the weekends.
Let's see how Harvard responds.
Frankie's dad was king of the hill over with the barbecue pit.
He had a presence.
He He definitely had a presence. He would love to grill and then like feed us and the other team after the game. But yeah,
really like sparked a movement.
Yeah,
Coach, you mentioned the environment, Brophy Field. For folks who have never been, it truly is a beautiful spot. It's a great facility, and maybe you guys can speak to what it's like to have that facility and to play on that field. I mean, for those who have not been there, it is a beautiful setting for sure.
Yeah, I'll let the players go first. What it's like to play out there. I also was lucky enough to play on it in college, but not as often as these guys.
I mean, I think it's probably easily the best rugby collegiate fields that I've ever played on for sure, but I would argue probably one of the better ones in the country right now. It's gorgeous. I remember during all of our, summer trainings, we would finish practice and just kind of watch the sunsets out there. And then when the leaves start to change in the fall, it's like you really couldn't ask for a better environment. Is that Camille?
That's me, yeah.
Is that Lily?
Lily Thurman.
I thought she had more space to gallop.
I know Ava's playing this game, and I can't remember the last time I played with Ava and Lily, and it's like this really brings back a lot of nostalgia.
Oh, the ball move.
Oh, good hands there.
That was a sick catch.
They set you up
Really
there. Goes in here. Good.
Good.
Yes, you can. And now it's number 14, Becca Jane Roscoe across the line for a second try of this game. And
that Idia Becca combination was deadly on the wings.
Literally unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, Idia's just like such a strong runner that she sucks in the defense, and if there's
Such a
somebody
powerhouse.
like fast and agile like Becca on the outside, then
Two broken
tries on tries. Put them away.
Incredibly fast for a prop, so she gets her on the. Loves playing in the outside channel where there's space.
I remember
she's such a versatile
though. This got called back for a forward pass, if I remember correctly.
Oh, you're right.
Extremely lateral to this day.
Oh man.
To Harvard after all
Wow.
the excitement.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't imagine we were looking forward to a scrum after thinking we had just scored a try either.
Yeah.
Frankie being the good field captain there, trying to make the ref change his mind.
Yeah, I'm sure I told him extremely lateral. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was only across the field.
She should emulate your style of play.
Yeah, I think in these moments there's a little bit of like defeatism after like that big of a change of energy, but I mean, our pack always comes together pretty quickly on those. And there's a lot of little chit chat going on there. Everyone kind of talking in each other's ears, like getting people amped up for these plays.
Yeah. This clash.
With the pack. You guys got to have your little discussions.
Insane hits from Rooch all the time.
Insanely low hits too, which is incredible.
Just sniping. We should have had a running tally of how many tackles she makes in this game.
Yeah, between Rooch and Morgie.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I just
Yeah.
want to go back to it.
We have a pretty long line of really good flankers.
Home team try back out.
Well, back to the field, Brett. So Brophy Field is like Andy was saying. I've seen all of the facilities throughout the country, and it is definitely, in my opinion, it's the top collegiate rugby facility in the country. And the pundits have said, the commentators for this game, I remember they were just raving about it. The guy was like, I can't believe the setting. I just can't get over it. It was like his constant commentary. But it's gorgeous, and like it's real grass, which for players and coaches you can't.
It makes a difference.
What does that mean? Yeah. Just enjoying practice and enjoying playing on real grass. And we're lucky enough. So behind the hill that I mentioned, there's like a rolling hill where the fans sit and where Frankie's dad would set up the grill and look down from on top of the hill and watching the game. And then beyond the clubhouse, which is kind of built into the hill, we have a whole other full-size regulation grass field that we also practice on.
Of course they do.
Yeah, so we're just really blessed with the facilities that we have here.
That's one where experience.
And when the camera pans, you'll see that we like to say welcome to the woods. And I think like our field is kind of an iconic example of that, because it's just flanked entirely. The backdrop is entirely the woods, this big hill that's just gorgeous. So
Yeah, there's something special about every season when you're out at Brophy. Like Mia was saying in the fall, the sunsets are like incredible, and winter, the snow is everywhere, and like people are cross-country skiing across the field and under the post, and spring you get to see the sun for the first time. Like, and then fall in particular, like Dowdy was saying, with the mountain background is just so like unbelievably beautiful with the like New England foliage that you just can't really explain it unless you've seen it.
Yeah, it really has this like calming presence almost. I mean, no matter how big of an opponent we were about to face up against on that field, you could just get down to the field a couple minutes early and just kind of ground yourself. And even still, like when I go back as an alum, I'll like run up to the field.
You have to go to the
You can't not visit.
Yeah, and you just like go sit on the hill and you're like, everything's fine.
We didn't see any locks ticking when we were playing.
No, we did not.
And was that, I imagine that had to be one of the big draws for you players in the draw to Dartmouth, amongst the many things, but to have that facility dedicated to rugby, I mean, that just had to be a huge swing factor for you guys as far as coming to Dartmouth, I would imagine.
I bet it was for Frankie. Camille and I didn't know, like rugby was barely a concept in my mind. And then I randomly reached out to Dowdy and was like, I heard about this thing called rugby. And she's like, just come visit, come play for the summer and see if you like it. And then during recruitment, Camille came out to look at rugby. And I remember basically stopping her in the hallway once and being like, I saw you at a meeting. Are you coming? Like, you need to join rugby. But
no, it wasn't in the hallway. It was in the bathroom of the dorm.
You don't want
fair enough. We had no idea how lucky we were going to be with these facilities. We had no way to compare them to anything else. And we kind of just walked into just such great fortune. I think that's also just part of Dartmouth in general.
Yeah, the opportunities that you have at Dartmouth in general, you're going to fall into something just amazing and life-changing, regardless of what direction you go.
So, Camille and Mia, can you kind of talk a little bit more about your journey into the program? And you talked about how you got brought into the meeting and how it just kind of transpired into you guys getting roles on this squad and being part of a very good rugby collegiate program. How did that kind of flow into as you started this journey?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind, honestly. Our freshman year was the program's first year as varsity. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot that nobody really knew was going to happen or saw coming. It was all kind of like everybody was trying to figure out what the team was going to look like moving forward. Like Mia said, we both walked onto the team, and that's still a big part of rugby and the Dartmouth team, because it's a growing sport and there's a lot of opportunities for new people to join.
Can't find her mark that time.
And just like,
and Harvard comes down with the ball here.
I don't even know how to explain it. Like, everybody was just so excited to like take the team to the next level that there was just like so much passion for the team and the sense of community that was there. Like, everybody just wanted to succeed together. And I guess that manifested in a lot of ways and ended up with some pretty good success that year and years later.
Cornish getting the heavy lifting on the kicks for touch.
Yeah, I think this team was an exciting opportunity to join something new and something that was growing and really make a legacy out of it.
And Camille and Andy won't brag, but they're two of the most competitive people I've ever met. And they both went on to be All-Americans themselves. So like their personal journey, like I was so constantly amazed with how quickly they developed and like the level of player that they developed into. This would have been was this your junior year, guys?
Junior year, yeah.
Yeah.
Now they look to go front of the line out. Big challenge there.
Yeah, and to have them up there playing at the level that they were playing at after only playing for 3 years is incredible.
And Chow moves it out.
Frankie, can you walk us through your journey to Dartmouth and to the Dartmouth rugby program?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the three of us had a typical journey. It wasn't your typical recruitment. I transferred onto the team, so I was playing rugby at another college for 2 years, and my junior year transferred to Dartmouth.
fighting back.
Yeah, I was only played for 2.5 years, which I think was like the biggest regret ever. If I could go back and do it again, I mean, I remember when I first joined the team and I was going to the athletic offices begging them, like, can I just have some more time? Like, can I be given a little bit more eligibility back? Like, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I transferred after 2 years at another school and joined the program after they had been varsity for a year.
And Coach, can you speak to Frankie's development and what she brought to the team when she came aboard?
Yeah, I mean, Frankie was a stud. We knew that, obviously, and it's not often that people have the opportunity to transfer to Dartmouth. You have to really be a really top quality player. So it was known around the rugby world, the quality player that Frankie was already. I remember telling her, I was like, Frank, if you come here, I think we can win the championship, you know. And your dad was like, are you sure? Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah, we were out to dinner.
We were so close. We were so close. We were like one try away from that prediction being true. But but the thing that amazed me with Frankie was how quickly, like, she's just, I mean, you probably can tell talking to her here, but she's kind of obviously happy, effervescent, maybe is the right word for it. But by this year, her second year, the team had elected her captain, you know, which I thought was really remarkable for somebody who's coming in midstream. Like, you clearly had a really instant impact on all the people around you. So that to me was the coolest thing about Frankie, that, you know, that was a bonus. I was like, woo, yeah, we got this stud winger. But then also she became this incrable leader and energizer. So that was excellent for us.
Frankie, what was that like to be elected captain?
Oh, that was awesome. I mean, just to like know.
Props to Caitlin Wiggle. That was well read. But
Lily jumped right back to her
credit where
feet.
credit's due.
Right, because Lily got right back to her feet. We're off. God, I just love the team. This year we moved the ball so well. Yeah. I jinxed that one, huh?
Thanks, Dowdy. Frankie doing her signature fight on the. Frankie had the most like dynamic like movements on the ball when she was fighting off a defender. It was just like such like a mental picture you have of like her wrestling like the defender to get a few more yards.
Ramage looks to the air again.
I didn't want to give the ball up.
Well, we appreciate it.
Chip ahead there from Dartmouth.
Mia, can you talk about the team camaraderie? What it was like in that locker room, what it was like, especially in that 2017 season. Again, you talked about earlier. Again, you had everybody back, and so I mean that team chemistry had to be, had to be really good, and obviously it showed with the way you guys finished off that season.
Against Harvard here for offsides, and Ramage, one would guess, is going to go for the territory in the lineout.
Oh, did she hear that?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Mia?
I think she's frozen.
Camille. Okay, there we go.
Make out.
Were you able to hear me?
I mean, I think
okay, go ahead.
Our team in the locker room, like, so I mean, in the locker rooms before games, everyone kind of has their own routines, but just a few minutes before the game, we all always came together and like bonded and like held each other close beforehand. Sometimes we cheered, sometimes we sang, but there was always just like one moment of bubbling energy before we walked out on the field.
Harvard again inside their own zone, getting a lucky call.
Camille, can you talk about again that team chemistry there in 2017?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like any specific moments that I could talk about, but yeah, just like Mia was saying, whatever we would do before every game, it shifted over the years. Like she was saying, sometimes we'd, get together and we just like group hug or we'd sing or we'd do something, but like we got along. Every one of us like pretty well. Like I was comfortable like at any point, like any teammate, let's go get dinner, let's go hang out, let's go do whatever. Like there was never any like
Dartmouth get Camille
like
Johnson and
isolated groups on the team. It was all pretty united, and so
trailing them.
It was just like a really cohesive team that led to really good on the field chemistry as well. But it wasn't like that was something that was necessarily planned. We all just liked each other and it worked well.
Yeah, I mean, like the team dynamic and the cohesiveness of it, it's something that I feel like I've tried to, make with other teams since leaving Dartmouth. And it's just not something that I can recreate, or I have not been able to do so yet. I don't know. And it's not just that year, that team. There's just something so special about the program at Dartmouth. You really are such a family. And yeah, it's definitely something I miss all the time. And I'm really thankful that I was able to experience it.
Yeah, it's a feeling that's like present across all of Dartmouth anyways. Like Dartmouth is one big weird family. And and it's definitely visible in every part of Dartmouth.
And Coach, not to throw out the coach cliches, but I mean, when you've got that team chemistry, that team dynamic, where you don't have to worry about individual players, everybody is on the same page, on and off the field. I mean, that makes your job 1,000 times easier, and obviously that's obviously a characteristic of a championship team.
Yeah, it sure does. But I think it's not something that you can just take for granted. Like, I think you always have to nurture that. Like, just taking the time to do fun stuff together, or I don't think it's something you can ignore and just be like, "Woo, yeah, we got lucky this year," right? Like, you're constantly working on team culture and connections and relationships, and that is so important. Like, especially in a game like rugby where a coach isn't calling the shots from the sidelines, you don't have a chance to reset every other second. Like, you really have to trust. And the roles are so different. The roles are so different and unique. Like, you need everyone out there to do their job well and have that trust and connection. I think it's really critical to always work on it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Was this the year we went berry picking?
A little quick tap.
Was that which we've done every
berry picking farm?
Was this the berry picking farm year?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, here we go. We got another chance.
There we go.
That one was
like the exact same.
Deja vu.
There was no calling that one back.
They wanted to read it.
Idiot again in the outside channel. Too fast.
That was pretty clinical.
Yeah, that was a good decision from Kat there. We got a penalty call, and instead of kicking for a line out or taking a scrum or doing any of the other options, she ended up just like taking a quick tap and moving the ball because, we were having some trouble with our set piece because Harvard's pack is pretty strong, and they were also expecting us to kick, so they weren't looking for a quick run, and so she took one tap and moved it to space and ended up with the try, which is always nicer for the forwards too, because then they don't have to work as hard.
They get to take a little bit of a break. And I think that's what Dowdy said. There's not really coaching from the guideline, like from the sideline. She can yell and she can send in a water person when we score to send some direction.
But it falls on deaf ears, I think.
A lot of it is really people looking, and I think there were a lot of leaders on the field that day, and a lot of really sharp eyes, and people knew the game well, and so you could see that our backs and our forwards were connecting. Like our backs knew that the forwards were really taking some hard hits at the scrums, and we were holding as strong as we could, and they knew that we were struggling on the lineouts. And part of that was because Harvard's team was much taller than a lot of us. So they were really dominating there. And so our backs really picked up and took advantage of those weak moments when they could.
Yeah, and I couldn't have called. If I had been screaming that, it would have given it away, and they could have adjusted.
Yeah.
That being said, like Dowdy always, like when she was able to speak to us, like during halftime, always had like the few things the fixes. So I'm excited to see what we're gonna look like in the second half, because I know watching it, like I'm seeing some things that like we could definitely. And so I'm excited to see, like I'm sure we had that conversation at halftime.
Definitely.
How we clean that up in the second half.
There's probably something along the lines of like we got to stick our hits the first time, like our tackles the first time. And I'm sure it's going to improve in the second half, because once you hear those ears in your words, like that resonates the rest of the game.
Yeah, we need to take care of the ball a little bit more too.
I was really thrilled this whole game with our counterattack, though. Like this,
counterattack is great.
I'll probably pull clips from this game as an example for the current team. I'm like, guys, when we have a counterattack, here's where the space is. How quickly can we get the ball there? Because like this team was executing that.
Yeah, our back three was working really well here, just like getting the ball side to side.
I think one of the really cool things about this game is seeing where everyone stepped up in positions. Because there are a lot of people who are in positions that they didn't typically play, or maybe they didn't come onto this team playing. Like Ava playing as 9, I can't remember. Yeah, so it's really
Cat's
cool.
at 10, I'm at 12.
Yeah, it was a versatile group.
Yeah.
Think back to like how much we can trust each other. You know, like I think that shows so much in this game as well. Like you said, like all players in different positions.
That hit. Yeah. And no one was ever too close to play a position.
Ramsey never missed
Ramsey. Root, Ramsey, Morgie right next to each other. That's not somewhere that the other team should want to run.
It almost looked as though she thought there was a break.
Now, obviously, and that was a big score too, as we were talking about earlier from the previous score that was negated. I mean, that had to be again. We talk about big momentum boosts in this game. I mean, that was a great response by the team there, Coach. After a play or call like that, it can go either way, right? You can either rebound and get back into it, or let it bother you. But clearly, the team got right back into it after, and that was a big score.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting how the dynamics of a game can change. So, like, Frankie picking off a pass against the run of play and kind of taking the air out of Harvard, even though they had the Lions' share of possession to that point, and then being able to go up 10-0, then you've got a bit of breathing room, and the pressure is, really on the other team then, and you can play. That gives you the breathing room, the confidence to play a little bit differently. So those were big moments, right? And
oh, there's a great play.
I love that the one was a quick tap. Like that's just staying heads up, and the other team kind of falling asleep at the wheel. So those are maybe some of the moments that make me the proudest. That are just like clever and cheeky.
However, it comes up from Dartmouth after some more
physical play. Camille, can you speak to what Coach talked about the ebbs and flows? Of a rugby match, and and again, when maybe you're getting down early, or being up early, and staying in the moment. Can you kind of talk about the ebbs and flows of a match as a player?
Yeah, I mean, rugby is a very strong momentum game. Like momentum is huge in rugby because it's an incredibly physical game, and it doesn't feel great on your body sometimes. And so if you're feeling like you're winning, and if you're up in the score, and it's like you take a big hit and you're like, oh, I don't care, we're killing them, I don't care, this feels great. But if you're you're playing in your own half and you're struggling, and you're not winning on the scoreboard right at that moment, you take a big hit, you kind of lay there for a second. It's this isn't very fun right now, and as a player and as a team, you're responsible for that mentality, and you're responsible for, not letting yourself fall into that. But it is hard if the momentum isn't swinging your way. So especially for that first try from Frankie, we were down in our half, we're playing defense. We had possession, and we knocked it on for a scrum immediately. The momentum really wasn't on our side there. So to just have a moment like that where you get away with the try, and you put yourself in a good position, it just fills you with confidence, and it really buoys you up for whatever will happen next. It's really a game changer, I guess would be pretty cliche here, but
guess that's why it's called that.
And little bobble. That is not
Frankie, can you and Mia, you can follow next. Just kind of elaborate on that. The ebbs and flows, the momentum swings within a match.
Hang on to that one.
Yeah, the numbers didn't add up for
that one. With rugby, it can feel like such a long game. I mean, you're out there for 80 minutes, and moments like this, if we have a lot of knock-ons or just anything that is leading to a scrum, that can definitely slow down the game quite a bit. And so being able to manage your energy and manage just kind of your attitude throughout the game is huge, because you will have these moments where it's kind of just scrum after scrum after scrum. And, out in the backs, we're getting a little bit cold, but being able to know when to turn it on. Oh, the ball's coming, gotta turn it on, and I gotta go make this play count. And like Camille said, I mean, being able to take advantage of small moments can be so huge and can be kind of that momentum shift that the team needs. Like in that first, 10-ish, 5 minutes or whatever, before the first try, it was kind of just like constant running, Harvard with the ball, run into us as a wall.
Look at that.
That was beautiful.
You just need little momentum switches and like you're good to go.
Yeah, I like that.
Some nice, well-placed kicks. Yeah.
Another good kick from Ava.
And I think part of the momentum is where you are on the field. Like when you're inside that 22, right past that line, and you can see the try line, that really changes the energy on your side. And, we were playing defense the first couple of minutes of this game, and playing defense is hard. It's defending that try line is even harder. So when you get to switch and you're on the attacking portion of the field, like you can definitely feel the momentum shifting there.
Yeah, and the fact that we've held them to 0 at this point, they've had a lot of possession is not a bad outcome with how much possession they've had.
Yeah.
I think we felt we'd let them, I forget how many tries they had scored the first time we played them in league play, but that was definitely a goal this game. It's definitely not.
So I know in our lineouts here, we were definitely struggling, and we knew their number 5, Jenny. She's great up in the air. She's a great attacker, and so Kat and I talked a lot, and we knew that there was a good chance that we weren't going to get any balls to the back of our line anymore. If we get a ball out to the wing like that again, though, that's a positive outcome.
Yeah, you and Jenny Crow. So Jenny Crow, maybe at the next line out, you can see that pretty much 1 through 8, they're about a head taller than our pack.
Yeah.
So the line out.
So we had to be a lot smarter.
Oh, hey.
Space out there.
Oh, hello, Frankie.
Around a second in
with the fan
a second assist from
and then I also just love seeing everyone going, like picking you up.
That was the only reason I wanted to score was so my friends would.
I think there's a really great picture of that scene.
Oh yeah.
I think she dove intentionally for the camera. that airborne vertical shot that she ended up with.
Camille's like, please take this ball.
Like, I don't want it. Yeah, I mean, that was like an incredible phase of play because we went from scrum to once like inside the 15 on one side to like side to side to side and like stretch the defense back and forth till they couldn't match us anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that was how we had to beat this Harvard team. We had them on the outside. We had them for speed. We had them for we had to move the ball out there.
Yeah,
they had a lot of really strong physical players. So if we could get them moving and get some space opened up, then we
just cause
the
little
advantage there.
Yeah,
having a great game.
Which might have been, I mean, part of that, having Kat at 10, I think we were thinking we could
distribute the ball
to get some width and
she's got a stellar long pass.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of those, just kind of skipping a few people across the field, and it's really just because people see space.
Yeah, and playing territory against these guys, so we had Kat and Camille.
Ava kicking too.
Send it deep. Yeah,
we had a lot of really good kickers.
Yeah.
Physical battle in some places. As Clemens puts it
which means that I didn't have to do
it. Coach, we mentioned that you face Harvard 3 times this year in this season that we're watching right now. How much did you take away from that first matchup that you met Harvard back on October 7th? You guys won 39-10 at Harvard. How much did you? Here we go.
Has to hold on.
So sick.
Bex was open on the right. Let's go.
And referee spotted that little knock on.
Yeah, but now we're on their half of the field.
Ramsey,
Yeah. And the last thing we want against Harvard with the big pack is to let them inside of our 22. At that point, they can just pound and pound and pound down the door directly with their forwards, and that would be a long day at the office.
I like these moments like right before scrums when there's just like little touches, and you might have seen it right after Ava got up. All of us kind of trying to find ways to connect and be like, hey, we're still here. That was one slip up and we're going to forget it and keep moving. And I think those touches are just the words that we don't even need to say on our team.
Sorry, was that
one of the people so Zanger transitioned from flanker to prop just for this season.
Mm-hmm.
And
she
for that reason,
did
probably
so well.
MVP of the season to me.
No, they were great on the field. Like, you could always trust Zenger. If you got tackled, suddenly Zenger was above you, and they were the strongest player in their tackles sometimes.
She's going up against a huge Harvard pack.
Yeah. Just one of the most consistent players out there.
And just one of the hardest workers too. Like, I don't think anyone beats Zenger's mentality on the field.
No. Becca just staying in there barely.
Tight rope. Brett, so you were saying, so the first time we played him, it was what, 39 to 2? Is that what you said?
No, Ramsey.
Yeah, see, we had the speed out there. We just needed to make sure we were getting the ball.
And protecting each other when they did get it too.
Ball moves out to Allison Tong.
Nice, Al, little drawing pass. Al's forte.
Another try here.
Nice.
I mean, that had to be such a punch in the gut there for Harvard. I mean, just, again, the way you guys had talked about that they came out kind of firing early in this game, but I mean, through the rest, 2/3 of this first half, you guys have really poured it on here. I mean, this really had to be a devastating blow for them.
But this is now starting.
I'm sure it wasn't very nice for them to they were working really hard and they were doing a lot of good stuff. But you look at the scoreboard and it's 22-0 at this point. Like, it's gotta not feel great. And I know that we've had games like that too, where the scoreboard isn't necessarily reflecting the evenness of player effort. But what matters in the end is what's on the scoreboard. And we did a good job of gritting out the points in any way that we could.
And really just capitalizing when we could.
Exactly,
Frankie pulling out a pass in the middle of the air, just finding those little gaps. And we had a lot of really speedy people on this team who could get us a lot of yards, and then we could keep up that momentum.
On the scoreboard so far. So a score here before the half.
My original question, kind of going back a couple of minutes ago, Coach, was how much do you take from the first meeting and going into this game? Obviously, you're watching film, you're looking at that X's and O's, but is it kind of from your perspective, clean slate, we're not going to really dwell on how we did last game, or is it kind of a little bit of both?
No, we're going to learn everything we can from the last time we played them. I mean, that's the truth. And, watching this,
She's having a great
in this year, especially with the size mismatch that they had on us in the forward, I'm sure that what we were talking about was when we have our chances, we have to take them, right? And that's what's happening, right? Harvard can put together 5, 6, 7, 10 phases of kind of
I mean, but right there, they just took advantage. We took advantage of that line.
A quick throw to move it.
Yeah. Our backs knew, we were struggling on the line out, so they said, we're going to take this moment when they're on their back feet.
Yeah, right. And so that's what you're seeing here, right? We've recognized, look, we've got speed, but they've got size. Nothing against. Our forwards absolutely skilled on their own, right?
Thank you.
Look right now, right?
I mean, the people who've been distributing to the wings on the outside, where we had Eddie, our number 3, putting Becca away. We had Allison, our number 2, putting Frankie away, or that was putting Kat away for that. Try over there. Our forwards were working.
Yeah. So we didn't need that much ball, but we had to execute when we had our chances. So you're kind of seeing us score some quicker tries out wide, whereas Harvard's trying to pound it, grind us through the middle, and that can be slow and tiring. And we just had to. We really pride ourselves on defense, right? And so that's what you're seeing here. I'm really jinxing the timing of my. Oh, the gray line from Kaylin on the other side. But yeah, and then we surely would with Harvard, they're always a technically sound scrum, and this year not so much anymore. But the size mismatch, we would have done a lot of work scrum time just to try to shore that up. It's hard to win a game when you're not winning the scrums, but we managed to here.
Yeah.
And on the edge there, that was a great hit from Becca to stop their wing, and then there were 3 of our players right there immediately to turn over that ruck and get possession again. And now we have a penalty and can get out of our half, hopefully.
Yeah. And just making it work. Morgie, huge credit to Morgie. Our scrum was going backwards here, and she did whatever it took. And you know what that's like. And there are a few turns at 8, and you just got to get whatever it takes to get the ball away so that we can play in space where we had the edge.
Getting close towards halftime here on Big Green Classic. And, of course, the Big Green up here, 22-0. in a great start here for Dartmouth here in this Ivy League championship match.
Another penalty. They can't end this on.
2v1. Oh.
Kyrion's
landed in your hands.
I had it.
Was that advantage?
Yeah, I think we're playing advantage.
Yeah, and I think we all could have probably seen the clock. There's a huge clock on Brophy Field, so we all probably knew halftime was coming. We really just had to hold them off, and that's one of the things with like game situation. I imagine if we would have gotten the ball in our hands at this point, knowing the clock was out, we might have kicked. So it'd be like, we're up, let's get into halftime, let's regain our momentum and start fresh again.
Shoot, I didn't notice what that penalty was for, but
I didn't see it. I think this was, if you look at the flags, it's a pretty windy day.
Yeah.
And I think Harvard has been kicking with the wind to their back this half so far, if like I'm judging by which direction that flag is going. So I know that we were having some trouble like with our kicking, like clearing out of our zone pretty well. So the next half, it'll be the opposite way where we're going to have the wind at our back. And I think that will also be to our advantage there.
Yeah. And I think that might have been something Dowdy said in the locker room that game too. Like, we're going to have the winds at our backs the next half.
Yeah.
And speaking of the next half, that's where we're heading. The second half at the 2017 Ivy League Rugby Championship, the Dartmouth Big Green up big on the Harvard Crimson, 22-0 here on Big Green Classic. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we'll have more. Stick around. You're watching Big Green Classic on DartmouthSports.com.
Make your debit card green. Big Green. Select from 16 options by visiting any Ledyard Bank location or calling 888-746-4562. Ledyard's online and mobile banking includes free personal mobile check deposit, so you can show all your Dartmouth pride on your home turf. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Growing your business isn't just one thing, it's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local CAP dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done, day after day. For a limited time at Milton Cat, get 0% for 60 months on select new Cat compact equipment.
Domino's is serious about food safety. That's why your pizza stays untouched after baking at 450 degrees. And now that every delivery is contactless, you can safely mix and match any two or more for just $5.99 each when you sit around the table, even if it's not the same table.
As a trusted choice firm, the Richards Group has been committed to local communities for decades. We take the time to get to know our clients, their needs, and budget. We're independent, so we work for you, not an insurance company.
We use our expertise to find our clients the best home, auto, and business coverage at the most competitive price.
Our team provides consulting services for employee benefits, retirement plans, human resources, and leadership development.
The Richards Group. Prepare for tomorrow by contacting us today.
Welcome back, Dartmouth sports fans. Big Green Classic, October 28th, 2017, the Ivy League Rugby Championship between number 4 Harvard and your number 2 Dartmouth Big Green. We are getting ready for the start of the second half. Big Green up 22-3, and we welcome back our guests. We welcome back Mia Anderson, Frankie Sands, Camille Johnson, and the head coach of Dartmouth Women's Rugby, Katie Dowdy, as we start up second half here action. As Coach, I imagine, you know, as we left it before we took the break, you couldn't have asked for a better start to this one and a good first half from your squad. Well, you're a coach. You could always look for that. You know, yeah. Who am I kidding? But a good start for your team in the first half.
Yeah, no, obviously really pleased with that. I imagine in particular our defense. I was probably pretty pleased with our defense there. Yeah, it's hard to know, and you know, I can't. Do you guys remember anything about what I said in there?
I'm sure that. Well, I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure we talked about maintaining ball possession a little more, and just cleaning up some of our passes and making sure that we're getting the ball to the outside because we're having such success when we could do that.
Yep, to keep doing that. Yeah.
And probably just not getting too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because Harvard always was a battle. So we could be up 22-3 and they'd come out of the gates for the second half, like
swinging.
It was the game was never over with Harvard, no matter how much it was left.
Real humble, for sure.
You know, and I think that was just, we played, this is the second time we were playing this team this season. We knew there was a good chance we'd play them a third time, but I think that's just part of like the rivalry between our two schools and our two teams. Like there's always a battle, regardless of what minute of the game is, what part of the season it is. And so it's always kind of exciting to play and exciting to watch, I think.
Yeah, can you guys speak more to that Harvard rivalry? I know, Camille, you kind of just talked about it, and so did you, Mia, but just what it's like, you know, they're your rival. I mean, you're always up for every game, but when you play your rival, there's that little extra motivation.
Yeah, I mean, Harvard is a great program. They're a great team, and we saw them frequently. You know, they're the closest team to us that we play, and like we just we saw each other all the time. Like this season, we played them 3 times in a row, I think. And then we play them in the spring in sevens and 15 development sometimes. So yeah, we saw each other a lot. We were very familiar with each other. We all knew each other's names. But there was a very intense rivalry because to this point, we'd won every game. At least in the 4 years that we played, I think we only lost 1 game to them our senior year. And so it was a rivalry, but we always, you know, had the results on our side, and so you know that felt good. But it was just always a gritty battle with Harvard. Like they're physical, they're strong, they're skilled, and so it was always like a back and forth game where they kept us on our toes.
Yeah, and I think Dowdy always reminded us like, you have to be thankful for your rivals also because they help you elevate the game, and especially rugby, which is really an emerging sport still for collegiate athletes. Having another team that's keeping the level up this high every year, game in, game out, it's better for all of us at the end of the day. And you know, I think all 3 of us have played with some of these players outside of collegiate rugby on different USA camps, and maybe even in the future we'll do that more. But after you walk off this field, we're not Dartmouth, Harvard anymore. We're kind of just like all rugby players, and sometimes we end up on the same team again. So it's cool to be able to do that. It's cool to be able to eat lunch with them after a game, you know, let the field speak for itself, and then just all be rugby players at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the past 2 years, the NIRA championship has been between Dartmouth and Harvard, and for there to be 2 Ivy League colleges or schools in that game playing at that level is so huge. Like for the program, for the Ivy League, for varsity rugby in general. I mean, it's incredible.
Dartmouth took the ball back. Looks like Sabrina.
You mentioned Mia playing now together, but do you ever bring up like, yeah, we swept you that year? Is there
I mean, I think every now and then there'll be some jabs. They'll definitely jab us because they got the better of us during some sevens games for sure, some sevens Ivies championships. But we always had our 15s record to back us up, which was kind of nice. So at the end of the day, it's like all fun and games, and you know what happens in college doesn't dictate how we play in the future, but it's definitely fun to bring it up because everyone's so passionate about their college rugby team. Like those are your best friends. Some of your best friends. Look at those.
Lock line break. Lock on a line.
Oh my
yes.
And there's Zinger.
That's our power right there.
Put that up off her toes.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great.
You're good.
Great ramble.
No, wasn't this her shoulder?
Yeah, this was her. Yeah.
Prairie, Minnesota.
Yeah. No, Fuzz
took a hard hit on that one. Great run.
And so she came onto our team. She transitions from the women's soccer team. And so we were really excited to have a transition athlete that had been playing at Dartmouth and decided like they wanted to play rugby. We had Mac came over from hockey after her senior year too, which was really cool.
Number 10, Ramage. Looks like she's okay. Could be a little bit of.
Did she come off the field on this one?
No. I actually think she came down awkwardly, like on the tackler's knee or something.
Yeah.
Oh, she got the wind knocked out of her, right?
Yeah.
But she's
she's not. She's
stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
There's Yuri, our hero.
Yeah, Yuri, our trainer, who's one of the most on top of it trainers on like any team. You know, like if as soon as somebody goes down, Yuri is there immediately. Like I remember one time I got like cut on my face, and by the time I realized I was bleeding, Yuri was already there. Like it's crazy. And sometimes you watch some other programs and trainers aren't as like attentive to the game as Yuri is, but she like really put in a good effort to like learn the game of rugby, so she knows like what's going on and when she can come on the field. And really shows off. She's always there for us. She knows. Like,
she probably even during gameplay
plays. Yeah, she'll be like, you should like run the ball that way.
Yeah, we're passing, guys. You'd be we're doing a lot of skill work now during the pandemic.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Good. Passing is coming along as well.
We'll have to put her on the field.
Gosh, you got any eligibility left? Put her.
They need something here, John.
Yeah, they need to
ouch.
Yeah, these were always hard when a scrum would go down because it's already grueling, and then you're like, now I have to prepare to do this again. But that's also just where the team comes together, and you know, sometimes that conversation right there is the locks telling the props like, I'm holding you up, I have your back, and the props letting their hooker know that we have you, like you're supported here. And I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah. So our loose head right now and their tight head are two international level props. So that was like a clash of the titans going on right there in the foreground. They're two of the best props in the game. Maya learning for Harvard plays for the U.S. and Idia plays for Canada. She's put in Idia puts a huge shift in this game.
Yeah.
She's also just like incredibly fast and skilled. Like I remember the year after we graduated, I came to watch you guys play Harvard.
Yeah.
And Idia made this crazy break down the field, like outrunning everybody, and I was heckling her from the sideline, like, I thought you were a prop. Like,
you got her little sister is on the team now. Her sister's a 24.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
She's taller than Idia.
Really?
I bet Idia loves that.
Nice, Camille.
Zach Hamill.
That was great support. Yeah. She came slicing through a half gap there.
And there's Rouge right on your tail.
Yeah, as always. And maintaining possession in a messy rush there. Well, I guess not.
You jinxed it.
I don't think you like that call by your body language, Camille.
I did not like that call. He called me for not releasing. I disagreed with that.
You get 2 seconds, you know? You get to roll, you get to move.
Rouge was right there. I bet you did.
Rouge poached the ball. She didn't ruck, and so I think he was calling for hands in or something. I'm not sure. But I think she made the right choice. That was a messy ruck. You know, I was pretty isolated there, so she just did whatever she could to try to keep us the ball, but the ref saw it a different way. Nothing you can do about that.
So Crows took that one.
Yes.
But from
Mia, you talked about communication on the field, and as someone who is relatively new to the game, I imagine that piece of it, the communication on the field, and you've talked about it throughout this broadcast here, how important that really is, that you have that sort of on-field communication with your teammates. I mean, it's got to be a huge variable to victory.
Yeah, I mean, you can't win a game without it. And, some of that communication is verbal. Some of it just becomes innate after you start to know your teammates. And, as Frankie said, this was a team that had grown up together because we really didn't lose any seniors from the year prior. And so, part of that communication is making sure that our forwards know what our backs are doing and vice versa. But it's also, in lifts like that, there's communication there so that they know when to lift me. And, part of that I'd have to communicate verbally, and part of that they just started to learn me as a player, and we started to trust each other. And I think communication and trust go hand in hand on the field.
That was a well-placed kick from their lock.
Well-placed kick, but now it's Lily Durbin has the ball with space.
Yeah.
Which is always an advantage. That was a beautiful kick from her.
That was a good kick. That was a well-placed kick from her too.
Yeah.
Dartmouth happy to just play the position and slow this down for the next 30
minutes. I'm curious as far as each, we talked about how each of you came to Dartmouth and joined the program, but I'm curious if you can dive in a little bit more how you guys came to be involved in rugby and in growing and loving the sport. Camille and Mia, you talked about walking on, and Frankie, being from Vermont, I believe you played some rugby at Essex High School. Can you talk about how your love for the game grew as you grew older and eventually got to Dartmouth, how you got into the sport?
Me?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, you can go first, Frank. Yeah, kind of a generalized question, but yeah, you can start, Frankie.
Yeah, I started playing my freshman year of high school, and actually had been.
Oh, Butterfingers, Frankie. That's all right. Happens.
Whatever.
The forwards don't forgive you.
I'm dropping. You got it.
The backs. That's okay, Frankie. The forwards.
Yeah. I'm like, help. Yeah, so I had been a cheerleader for like 3 years, and then my freshman year of high school came around to like the springtime, and there was no sport I wanted to do or like knew how to do, and like I wasn't going to run track because I just didn't like running for no reason, and I just see, but rugby's different because you're being chased, and
valid.
Exactly. And I just like saw a sign up at the high school that said, "Come try rugby, no experience necessary." And I literally went home and Googled what rugby was. Sounded pretty cool. Told my dad about it. He was ecstatic because he has 3 daughters who were all involved in like figure skating and cheerleading. So he was like, "Yes, please, something else." Yeah. And so just kind of started playing, and naturally loved the aggression of it and the camaraderie of the team, and and it worked out. Ended up going to Dartmouth to play, so you can't really complain there.
Yeah, and sorry, just to interrupt. There was a really nice moment of sportsmanship there. I know we were talking about our rivalry with Harvard there, but we just had one of our players, Rooch, like take a big hit and was on the ground for a second. 2 Harvard players came over and helped her off the ground. So, as much as we were competitive with each other and had a rivalry, we're still in it together and growing the sport and wanting to improve our skills in game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just also speaks volumes for the sport of rugby itself. I mean, there's no other sport that I know of where you will, really test each other's limits physically and mentally for 80 minutes and then come together and share a meal and just talk after the game, and you can really just like congratulate the other team, good or bad, and just being able to celebrate the wins and the individual wins, and just being able to do that is so unique to our sport, and something that I think does draw a lot of people to it.
And makes them stay.
Yeah. Especially if the food's good. So.
Which is where your dad came in.
I know.
Really. He's our biggest recruiter.
Just kidding. Food's still good. So.
Ramage has moved in.
Yeah, I think, part of the reason I joined rugby is I was definitely looking for a change of pace in a different sport coming out of high school. I ran track, Frankie, and did some cross country. So did a lot of running with no destination and no reason, and really missed having a team sport. I mean, rugby, there's no denying the team aspect of it, and track was super individualized for me. So I really wanted to join a group of people who wanted to be competitive together and who were all like challenging each other for the same mission. And I was always pretty bad at basketball and soccer, but I learned I could hold the ball when I was running in rugby and never had to dribble it. So it kind of just worked out for me.
Yeah, I walked on the team, I guess, in a similar-ish way. I played soccer and basketball and refused to run track instead of what Mia did. But when I wasn't playing soccer in college or anything, and I just wanted to join a team because I'd always been on a team and I didn't really know what to do if I wasn't on a team. And ran into 3 of our seniors while they were trying to. Sorry, I forgot about that moment.
Millie tried to tap it back into play, but got
overzealous.
Close line by the ropes.
But yeah, I ran into a few of our 16s when they were out like recruiting walk-ons, and they talked to me about joining, and I was like, oh, yeah, sounds interesting. Sure, I'll look into it. So I came out to watch one of our home games against Penn, and I think it was our first home game, and it was an absolute runaway where like we played so well, and we were winning, and I was like, oh yeah, this is something I want to be involved in. Sure, I like winning things. And eventually like fell in love with the game and really liked it, and so I stuck around for that. But yeah, it it's very random the way that I ended up joining, but I'm really glad they called me out on Call's porch.
I love what's going on right here in the standings. We're kind of jamming it in at the try line right here. We're less than 5 meters away, and at this point you can kind of taste the try.
Mm-hmm. And Kat's going to try to take it quick here because she has great
because she's cheeky.
Actually, it will.
She was probably not happy with me right
We're doing quite well, like right on the you know. Mm-hmm. That just means like technique-wise, because we were outsized, that forwards blow is a good display of some forwards work in tight once we're.
Yeah. No, and I think Kat was smart to do that quick tap there. Sometimes her brain works so quickly on the field. I struggled to keep up, so I probably was just 2 steps behind her and dropped that ball.
But I mean, the end result here is we didn't get a try, but they have a scrum on their 5 meters, so they're under some pretty intense pressure here. Even if they get the ball out of the scrum cleanly, you know, they're standing back in their try zone right now. So, you know, it could be worse.
Yeah, and I love how much energy we're putting in. And, you know, we're even disappointed when we don't get the try in these situations, even knowing we're up 19 points here. Like, missing out on an opportunity to score is always devastating.
Who's kicking for touch, John?
I am going to go with...
Is this Maya here?
Yeah, Maya. Yeah.
Good.
But I'm dead wrong.
Scrum was taking it out of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And Clemens pushes the ball to the 22.
And you can see our glorious hill to watch the games. It's really the perfect landing spot.
Yeah, the amount of naps I've taken on the grass.
We've definitely sledded down those in the winter a few times.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite Dartmouth memories.
Who do we think is going to get it? Get it, Andy. Get it, Andy. Get it.
Oh, we're just a little too slow on that one.
Disrupted, though.
Bit of a mess, and Clemens has to move the ball on.
That's okay. We'll take
yeah, and I think we knew here that we weren't always going to win the lineouts. We weren't always going to win the scrums, but our backs came out so hard that we always made them make mistakes here.
Yeah, could catch them behind the game line just with our line speed and defense.
And it goes Marin and Fuzz.
Dartmouth still has the opportunity to move this.
I'm not sure who has the ball right. Oh, okay.
Kat does.
It's us.
It's you.
It's me running into defenders for fun.
It's okay. I'm right over you.
Forward really perfected the cross.
Oh, that was great hand from Ramsey there. A great pass.
Good timing from Will.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beast. She is all of like 5'3", but the most powerful 5'3" you've ever.
Yeah.
Tight. We'll see where they like to go. As Randy moves it out to her number 8, McGonigal, the captain.
Go, Frank.
Using that big stiff arm.
Woo! Yeah, our backs kind of driving through their forwards here in this set. This is lovely.
Yeah, we're letting you guys take all the hammering this time. But you see Idia running in because she knows what we're doing next. Like, we're going to start smashing through their wall. If we can keep the ball.
I can only do so much. So
we just need you to be perfect.
Oh, that was a knock. I wasn't sure if he was calling it held up.
For Dartmouth there as well.
But looks like it was a knock.
And I'm sure we're really excited to be back in a scrum. But when you're this close to the try line, and we've been this close for the last few minutes now, I think you're always still looking for that. And we seem to
you want the try.
Yeah, you want the try, especially if you've put that much effort in. You don't want to walk away without it.
It's definitely a reversal from the first half where Harvard was camped down in R22 for the first 15 minutes. Like, they haven't really been on our half for any extended amount of time this half, I think. So we definitely are doing a great job of putting on some intense pressure here.
No, whatever fans were sitting on that side of the field got to watch the entire game up close.
But like when we are that close and like that close to try line and we have possession, something we did try and do is just stay calm, because you can see in those moments when we start getting frantic and rushing.
It's okay, hold on.
Oh, unlucky.
Oh, they called it.
Like those were the moments where we would have those tiny mistakes. So for us to just kind of be able to come together, take a quick breath, and just calm everyone, that I think was really what made the difference for us.
weathering storms here.
And I think one thing we practiced on our team was finding out what works for everyone to get their head back in the game in the moment. Like, I knew from day one never to tell Camille to calm down. Like, that was just out of the question. And I knew Kat like, Marin used to tell Kat knock jokes on the rugby field when she could see Kat was getting in her head. And so everyone had different little triggers, but that kind of helped us stay in the moment when we needed to.
Knock joke. Didn't Kat calm down with a noogie or something?
Yeah, you could rub her head a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
you guys doing that out there a couple times?
I always liked like the jersey grabs, like when someone grabs the back of your jersey and kind of like holds you there for a second, you just feel a little bit more grounded.
Yeah.
And so the scrums were kind of a grounding moment for me because everyone was bound really tightly.
Yeah.
Frankie, what was yours?
Some points in a hurry.
Did you calm down?
No, I was kind of
wired. Would anything work?
I always, whenever I had like a mistake, and I still do this, if I knock the ball on or something like that, I had my like snap and then kind of brush it against my legs, and I'd be like, "It's over with. Whatever, on to the next one." That was
yeah.
Or I'd sing Sia songs in my head.
I think we had Sia on repeat that entire season.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it didn't feel right to have a practice start without Chandelier.
There was like one song per season that was like, that we just played over and over and over again.
Yeah.
My proudest moments.
No one's ever given you the aux cable ever again.
Then they'll just accept it. It's fine.
She'd just show up first. Nobody could take it from her if she was there first.
The early word gets the aux.
Class early.
Blindside flanker, dropping a wing.
Get down to practice.
Again, this is that whole 7s and 15s.
Yeah, so they're kicking to relieve pressure here.
Ooh, nice tip.
Their stencil.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, hanging. Yeah.
Jukes.
Oh.
I don't know how the ball ended up there.
No, yeah, must have gotten stripped, but that was well done.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, I think Marin and I were talking there, like, get her out of bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our sub, so with Alex coming on, we had a lot of depth this year. So Alex Stendhal was the same year as Camille and Mia.
More than you can.
And she walked on when I did. We both came early for preseason.
Also a walk on. Played her whole first game against Quinnipiac and came off the field and asked me, "What's a ruck?"
It's like there were 100 of them. Did you miss them?
you just did 100 of them.
Yeah. No, I think my first full game was the second game I played. And by halftime, I was like, okay, so Dowdy's taking me off now, right? Right? And then I don't think I ever got pulled off again.
Yeah, we realized that Andy had an engine, had the highest work rate I've ever seen possibly. And she,
a good catch.
Played a lot of minutes.
Over Durbin's head. Durbin has to go field it.
Mia, you bring up a good question there, and I'll ask Frankie and Camille. Your first game playing for Dartmouth Rugby, is there a memory that sticks out for you?
There are two.
Okay.
One of the first ones would be Kat was playing 9, and so she was, pulling the ball out of the ruck. She was going to pass it off, and I was blocking her pass to the 10. And so Kat's, there was a lot of learning by making mistakes my first game, and so she bolted the ball pretty close to my head. She wanted to hit it on purpose, and I dropped to the floor and ducked, and it made the pass to who it was supposed to go to, and then I learned don't block passes. So that was lesson number 1, don't block the channel. And then lesson number 2, I wasn't going into a rugby, I was trying to stay out of it, and one of our seniors, Yeja Day at that time, grabbed the back of my jersey, and she's like, "This is yours," and pushed me into that, and I was like, okay, now I know where I'm supposed to be on the field.
I can.
So there was a lot of learning on the go during my first season actually playing rugby.
Ramage is going to be off for 10 minutes.
Frankie, you have a first game memory suiting up for the Big Green?
Back just got sent to the penalty box for the
I was watching the game.
Yeah, so Kat just got a yellow card. Harvard knew how to get under Kat's skin, and if they at the back of the ruck, if she took a hit after the pass, just kind of some of that cheeky stuff I was mentioning earlier, which the top teams will do. It would get under her skin a little bit,
especially when you start to know each other after so many games.
Yeah,
you know what gets under everybody.
Yeah, and I think looking at this game and then looking at where we were our senior year, everyone kind of knew where they would get under her skin. And so I think our team started to protect her in some ways, and she learned how to manage those a lot better by her senior year too.
Yeah, because she got in trouble there for a little bit of afters. But yeah, that was, I mean, yeah. We're learning more than X's and O's, right?
Exactly.
I'm learning for Kat.
With the kick.
Keep it in. Oh, good try.
30 meters out.
Should have thrown a line out there.
Ball has been pretty much in the Harvard half.
So Frankie, I'll
Frank got distracted again.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want. I feel like I don't want to interrupt the conversation here, but your first game playing for Dartmouth Rugby. What any memories? What you remember? Anything about that?
And now have earned
I don't remember what my first game was. Oh no!
Not to put you on the spot.
Oh no!
I remember your first postseason game.
My first postseason game.
Your first postseason game with us was against your former school.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that game. Like my last game, my first game. What you said makes sense. Yeah, the last game I played with my old school against Dartmouth.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I remember.
Frankie knocked us out of the quarterfinals.
She herself scored the try that knocked us out. Yes,
Wow.
yes. That is right.
I remember that.
Yeah. Wow.
No forgetting that one.
Ooh.
You're still not forgiven.
Then I came and joined you guys, so it was fine.
Yeah. Oh, good memory.
I remember that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Oh gosh, I feel like I should remember my first game. I definitely remember my last and like those big ones, you know, in Colorado and whatnot.
Champion, two-time Las Vegas Sevens champion.
Camille, you go.
Yeah, so I walked onto the team and I joined a little bit later than everybody else. So my first game wasn't until like the middle to end of this season. It was against Princeton. And yeah, I had an experience similar to Mia where Yasia, I was rucking, but not very well, and she just came through and she just gave me a good two-hand shove, and I went flying, which taught me how to ruck a little bit better. Yeah, exactly.
Protect the ball.
But I remember, I think it was like one of the first plays I was on the field, we had a scrum down in our attacking 22. And I came onto the field and I was playing wing, and Kat was at scrum half, and she just looked at me and she winked, and you know, I guess I understood what she meant, and she out of that scrum they ended up going to my side, and I scored my first try, and that was a pretty exciting moment for me.
Yeah, I think I remember that game.
Yeah, she just winked at me, and I was like, Kat, I don't know what's going on.
And but it works. Brain on the fields ran at like 100 miles a minute. She saw every little detail that, you know, I still miss, I think, to this day. And so listening to her on the field, I think, was what got a lot of us through it. And I think Frankie's leading the charge here.
Yeah, that was we just held them up on the try line once again, so they have a penalty advantage that they're playing, but we didn't let them in.
You need to settle it down.
Yeah, we're definitely going to beat them to the starting point. And that was one thing Dowdy always said is like you had to make the race to the starting line. Like you have to be ready first, and once you're ready, then you can wait and have like your pause moment. But you can't let them beat you to the punch.
Ava Klein's got double duty
from the cheerleading days.
She's also played tackle football on the boys team for 2 years.
Yeah, you can bring some stuff over though.
I'm not so sure.
I feel like, you know, cheerleading taught me to be really loud, and
it worked. It worked. You were one of the biggest cheerleaders on the team that season too. I think, you know, even when our team started to doubt ourselves, like you were the one saying that the Ivy League championship and the national championship aren't far-fetched dreams for us.
Get set to feed it.
Shouting from the farthest side of the field.
Making herself heard.
I know that you guys are all the way over there, but...
Yeah, I think towards the end of this game, there was a lot of resetting of the scrums, and I think it's just a testament to how much work had been going in from both sides. And the forwards were definitely tired, and trying your best not to let them know that also.
Where Dartmouth needs...
You know, that was, I think, so the fall after this, we won the NCAA championship against Harvard in the final. And one of the biggest I think the most critical adjustment we made in that game was that we realized we were using our forwards too much, and that our forwards were going to run out of gas. Like the tank was very close to empty already. What's that?
Idio wants to be a wing.
Idio would be a great wing, right? Yeah, but we just realized how to balance out the number of involvements and carry the load better, getting the backs more involvements in that final. So I guess you just pick up so many lessons along the way.
Wow.
Which maybe, looking back, it seems obvious now.
To make something happen with a one person.
Yeah, but I mean, we turned it over there, which is.
Lily clear.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's incredible.
Okay, they went around.
Seems from the side, yeah.
Problematic.
You know that, Andy?
What?
She offsides?
I think we might have stalled there because I think Kat was playing 9 at this point, and we were like, where's
Yeah, Kat was out. We were trying to not waste time, but use up the 10 minutes so that we could have full strength. And so that she could come back and kick.
That's a great kick, Camille. No doubt.
Camille wants her back.
I just wanted Kat back.
I was wearing.
And so I'm wondering who's throwing in at this point.
Durbin.
I bet Allison or Lily.
Derbs.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Teams in a couple of years under the leadership of these coaches they have with the skills.
Yeah, and this was just everyone stepping up to new roles throughout the game.
Yeah, but that's the depth we had. Is like Lily also a great, like, great skills. Like she could definitely cover that if we needed it. You know, we had people that could take over roles, and we could shuffle and make it work, even if it wasn't ideal. But we had the depth to always be covered everywhere.
It's not a women's rugby match. It's not a college rugby match. It's a rugby match.
Yeah, that's a proud moment for me, though. Stopping Harvard from 5 meters out, and that's a great defensive stop.
You get to watch the Rugby League Network as well.
Yeah, I think we had to change our game plan here because we knew they were taller. We weren't going to get away with the same play twice there.
Yeah.
Still didn't work out perfectly, but it was definitely a change in plans.
It was a good hit, Mia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Screaming for the ball with a little bit of room. But Clemens gets it and
put it to the sky.
The sun was definitely in her eyes there.
Yeah.
Is he calling that a knock?
I think so.
Another
Interesting. Was counting on a little bit of that Edinburgh win to pick up the ball and take it down.
I mean, from sitting here and watching the second half, I mean, you guys really grinded Harvard down in the second half. I mean, you talked about that early possession. It seemed like you were in their end for pretty much most of that first part of the second half. I mean, you really grinded down Harvard in the second half, just from the outside looking in.
Stop and go at points in the second half as well.
Yeah, I mean,
the entire game was a grind.
The whole thing was
easy for me to sit here and say that, but
the whole game was a hard grudge match game, but it was definitely nice to be on the attacking side of it for a good portion of the time. Defense is exhausting. You are constantly hitting that, getting back up, fighting for every inch. In a way that you're not always doing when you're on attack.
Great burst.
And so
by Weigel.
The longer you're on attack and the longer the other team is on defense, the better it is for you in the long term, because they're going to be tired after playing defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like efforts right here, we forced them to slip up and kind of drop the ball. And it's because on defense, we knew that if we got out hard and we got out early, we'd save us a lot of trouble on the back end. Because if you can force them to make a mistake, it really just changes the dynamic of the game. They get upset, like it's frustrating, but it definitely means that we're not forced all the way with our backs up against the try line.
I mean, our speed off of these scrums it's unmatched. I mean, it really puts a lot of pressure on that 10 and that whole back line when they just see these two players coming out of nowhere at full speed. I mean,
as somebody who somebody who played 10, my least favorite days were when the defense of the other team flew apart, because you don't have time to make a decision. You just have to like do something and hope it's right in the moment. And so the pressure that we're putting under them, like it makes it really hard for them to make good choices with the ball.
Well fought both ways.
I think it's still our scrum at this point.
It's attacking without the ball.
Yeah.
That's decent.
It's half the battle.
Yeah.
This is Idiot's cramp.
Idiot.
And Idiot's put in so much work during this game.
Right.
Like, you know, when you see the scrums collapse, and she's right in the thick of that too. So, I mean, I can just imagine what her body was going through at this point in the game.
Yeah, she was working side to side on attack too, putting wingers away on the outside,
Really
just all over the field. Yeah.
Try doing that after a 30-second ISO drive.
Yeah. That's why I was
over and over.
Why I was on the wing, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, catching your breath.
Guys want to take your time, you know.
No, mad respect for forwards. I've never been in a scrum. Oh, cat.
Oh, why are they
Who's
doing
operating this camera?
Processing.
Yeah.
I think we're back to full strength at this point, though. I think we have the full,
The whole team.
the full 15.
Native to put the ball in.
Yeah, quick math.
Oh, and it already fell through. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch Andy. Watch yourself here. I found this really interesting, actually. So, Allison at Loosehead is typically our hooker, right? And at this point, didn't have much. I mean, she's also facing Maya, was one of the most talented props in the league at that time.
Did we take it to get off?
She tries. She goes.
Yeah, Eddie is off. We have Delia in as hooker, who's
Really going at each other there.
who's
So I love- this
like
was
a
like-
super dynamic player.
Yeah. Watch Andy. If this is the instant that it happens. Yep.
Oh, did I move people?
Yeah. You grabbed them and you switched them and you put our more experienced prop over against Maya. That's the right call, right? Because Zanger had figured it out and keeps this up against Maya.
Yeah, and when you're locking, you're smack in the middle of the scrum, so you can feel everything that's going on, and you know, like who's getting pushed a little bit harder. And so Zanger was more experienced here, and Zanger had been matched up against Maya in the past. So I'm glad we were able to hold our own there.
Turns that one over at the set piece. As late in this game, Harvard has another opportunity.
Remember, like the last 5 minutes of the game. So, I mean, I'm sure our energy is just like amped at this point because we know we have to hold them off for 6 more minutes.
I was actually going to ask that question. Is it? Do you kind of feel that on the field, like it's getting close?
And very well done to stay in there, John.
Yeah, you're very aware of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was something that our team was really good at, just being good at time management, but as well as our spatial awareness and field management. And it's something that we would always practice, during trainings. Was like, okay, you're at this minute at, this is the scenario, you're here on the field, what should you do? So we were kind of almost prepared for everything. I feel like Dowdy tried to always go through every scenario she could think of to make sure we knew what to do.
Yeah, until I ran out of scenarios and asked you guys for some.
Yeah, every practice we'd be playing and we'd do okay, there's 2 minutes left, you're up by 2 points. What are you going to do here? Or you're down by 8 points, you have 10 minutes left. Like, what are you going to do? And you're just like, you're on the 5 meter, you're on your half, you're on the attacking, like, just like all sorts of different scenarios to like get you thinking about that. And it's not that you're in a game, you're thinking, okay, that one time in practice, like we did where it was 10 minutes left, and it's pretty similar to that. Like, it's not like a memorized playbook that you do at all, but it teaches you to start thinking about, being aware of the clock, being aware of where you are on the field and your strengths as a team and what you can do to put yourself in the best situation.
But then has a minor in math.
And it was so beneficial, I think, as well to those new players too, just for them to also start working through those scenarios themselves.
Yeah, when do you have to push the tempo? When can you slow it down and close out a game?
Yeah, and I think we always kind of surprised you, Dowdy, with what we would come up with in those moments. You'd say, wait, that's not what I was expecting. Let's do one more. And then there was always one more. And then sometimes one more.
I was like, you guys, you cracked the code. You found it.
Yeah, it's always getting a little bit trickier on those.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys, like listening to you guys talk now, it's every coach's dream to kind of make themselves redundant. And the way that you guys understood the game, still understand the game, and can talk about it, like, that is that makes me very happy. And I remember the film session when I realized it had happened because I brought up a clip and I was like, well, why'd we play it this way? I was like, maybe we should have played it this way. And then Camille said, nope. And like completely proved that I was dead wrong and that they had really figured out the game. The game's the best teacher. So lucky coach.
Just here to make your job easy.
Yeah.
Both these teams, credit to their coaching staffs.
Yeah, I mean, like Dowdy was always had her door open for us to just show up and ask those kind of questions. I think like during my freshman year when I was learning the game, I was in there like almost every day or something, just like, hey, I was watching this game and saw this. What does this mean? I don't understand, and stuff like that. But yeah, Dowdy literally always had her door open for anybody to come in, any player to come in and ask questions or just talk. And I know that I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, her office was the place to be.
Yeah,
it really was.
An hour before my next class, I know where I'll hang out.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, there's plenty of time to walk with Lauren. Yeah, absolutely.
During COVID, there's only 2 people allowed in there at a time.
You should just camp out on the grass in front of alumni and just kind of hold open office hours and hang out.
That's a good idea, yeah.
It's got to be getting cold up there.
Yeah, there's snow on the forecast.
Oh, wow.
An enormous, beautiful indoor facility. So
I'm so jealous.
I'm so sad that we didn't have that.
So jealous.
I'll come back. I feel like I will DM Dartmouth Women's Rugby on Instagram whenever you do. I do it all the time, and I'm like,
Frankie, all right. Okay, I'll come back.
Frankie, stop getting at the ref.
Yeah,
she had her intense game face on.
I'm pretty sure I also have like one of those stick-on tattoos.
Yep.
You did. It was like a Dartmouth D on your cheek. Yep. It made for great pictures.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Did you catch that, Brett? You know those like paste on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they would have them here everywhere,
all over the team.
Pat would always put hers on backwards just for fun.
Someone else take care of cats.
Well, because she would put hers on the mirror.
But I'm like backwards and upside down, and I was like,
yeah.
Below the 2 tries I got last time
because she put it on in the mirror, Andy.
Miller. Who hit it last time?
Clever for it.
I mean, this might be one of the last plays now, isn't it? Or do they run it out?
I'm sure it is, yeah. Which is probably why the ref was giving us a talking to there, because we had a few penalties in our 22. It's the end of the game.
Slightly, and we'll see where the ball comes out.
What game are we watching
I
next?
love stopping them all.
Yeah, right on the try zone.
Dartmouth heads to the line.
Are they in?
One more. We'll see what happens here. Referee.
Oh, it's even hard to tell what's going on here. They have the ball still.
They've got it.
There it is.
Just reached over though.
It would no time on the
well, I guess they can have
that. Be gracious.
I mean, like that, even though we are winning and like obviously are going to win this game, that was such a pride thing for us.
Yeah.
Able
to like in the trenches.
Finish a game.
Right, actually, who's been
and
a hard worker
on our own terms.
Yeah, like if that last try or like the last say in the game, like no matter what the score difference is, that was big for us. And like I think that was something that we would take into our trainings.
That's nice
moving forward and like the games moving forward. We're like, no, like 80 minutes, you can't let up.
Pays off.
Yeah. I think that was one of the cool things about this season. Like we were on a really good winning streak, but even if we won a game, we were never truly satisfied unless we knew we had played our best. And every game we walked off like, okay, that was good, but I want to do this better in practice so we can do it better in the game next time.
We had a lot of fresh, like newer players on the field right now, and they were honestly putting in some like incredible work here. It's hard coming into a game in the last few minutes when everybody else has been going and grinding is in sync, and then you're put in and you're injecting new energy, but you have to feel the flow of the game. And so we had quite a few new fresh legs on right now, and they're doing a great job. It's hard to come in right now.
Great spirit. And a lot to be
coming up to about the final minute here.
Dartmouth, what can you say? They've done well today.
Taking their opportunities. They haven't scored in the second half, Dartmouth.
They haven't.
I miss lining up right there, right before kickoff. I think some people love receiving, but I always loved being on this line because we all had our roles and we're all chit-chatting to each other. Like, if you have this hit, then I have your back, and I'll make sure to get the ruck here. And that was always exciting.
As ball goes out, gets into Clement's hand. She moves it around the back.
Oh, yeah.
Can't quite handle it
Here's
there.
Cantave.
Ball going back.
Right into Frankie.
There's a Frankie Camille double tackle.
Blindside to the wing, showing that versatility.
The ball is into Helener's hands.
I know, like when we could come up like a wall. That energy was awesome.
That ball forward, and the referee says yes, she has.
Looks like we forced a knock-on.
Just before contact, and that's going to be it here from.
And we're done.
We're past
getting you blew the whistle.
I think that's
it. Yeah, definitely. There's Frankie.
Big hugs. First thing. Oh, Delia.
No. Always so excited.
There you go.
Yeah.
2017 Ivy League champions, and Dartmouth coming away with a 22-8 final score, and they make it 3 championships in a row, and especially against the arch rival Harvard Crimson. So certainly a lot of fun to go down memory lane. Mia Anderson, Frankie Sands, Camille Johnson, thank you so much for being a part of this. And of course, the head coach, Katie Dowdy of Dartmouth Women's Rugby. Great insight, a lot of laughs. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to Dartmouth sports fans for another edition of Big Green Classic. We'll talk to you next time. Have a great night, everybody.